Picture a Saturday morning in 1972. The Sears parking lot is already half full by 10. Mom is holding a paper list for hardware and notions. Dad is near the tool wall, running his thumb along a socket wrench set he has no plans to buy. And you already know how the day ends because it always ends the same way. Up the escalator, past the vacuum cleaners, toward a smell that could pull a hungry kid across 3 floors of a department store. Griddle smoke, coffee, and warm pie crust. That smell belonged to the Sears diner. Nearly every big Sears store in America had one, tucked between appliances and the garden center, usually called something plain like the Sears cafeteria or simply the luncheonette. It wasn't fancy, and it didn't need to be. For close to 50 years, it fed millions of families their Saturday lunch, then quietly disappeared along with the stores themselves. Today, we count down 25 meals Sears diners across the country actually served, and by the end, you'll know why buying a lawnmower always turned into the best meal of the week. Number 25, the patty melt. Grilled rye bread, a hand-formed beef patty, melted Swiss, and caramelized onions pressed flat on the griddle until the edges turned dark and sweet. Servers plated it with a pickle spear and coleslaw, and it cost less than $1.50 through most of the 70s. When Sears trimmed food service staff in the 80s to cut costs, labor-heavy griddle items like this one were among the first casualties, replaced by faster, cheaper sandwiches that never quite tasted the same. Number 24. Chicken pot pie. It arrived bubbling in its own tin dish, the crust golden and domed from trapped steam, the gravy thick with carrots, peas, and pearl onions, plus real shredded chicken instead of compressed cubes. Regulars learned to wait 2 full minutes before cutting in. It was the cold weather order that made a shopping trip feel like coming home. As Sears shifted toward prepackaged, reheat and serve programs in the late 80s, the made-from-scratch pot pie quietly vanished from most locations for good. Number 23. Hot turkey sandwich, open-faced. White bread, sliced turkey, a river of gravy, and mashed potatoes doing double duty as side dish and gravy dam. It was Thanksgiving on a Tuesday, and Sears diners leaned into that feeling all year long. Older shoppers loved it because it was soft and filling without much chewing, and waitresses knew the regulars who ordered it every visit. Gravy-based dishes required constant kitchen attention, and by the 90s, staffing cuts made them one of the first things dropped. Number 22. Tuna melt, creamy tuna salad, a tomato slice, and melted cheddar broiled open-faced until the top bubbled, served on thick white toast because the point was comfort, never sophistication. It became an unofficial ladies' lunch order, paired with vegetable soup and iced tea. The smell of tuna and toasted bread drifting from the counter is one of those scent memories people swear they can still conjure decades later. It faded as diners shifted toward faster, less labor-intensive sandwiches near the end. Number 21. Salisbury steak, a hamburger patty dressed up in a suit, smothered in thick brown mushroom gravy, served with mashed potatoes and canned green beans. It made a kid feel grown up, ordering something that sounded like a steak, even though everyone at the table knew better. The gravy was the whole show, poured generously enough to soak clean through the potatoes. Salisbury steak outlasted almost everything else on the menu, a true survivor, before finally disappearing with the last full-service cafeterias in the early 90s. Number 20. Macaroni and cheese. Baked in a shallow pan with a golden breadcrumb top and extra cheddar, this was the side dish siblings fought over, scooped with a wide metal spatula so the noodles held their shape in a solid square. Parents ordered it for the kids while they had chicken fried steak themselves. As Sears cafeterias shrank their kitchens through the 80s, house-baked casserole dishes like this one lost their oven space to faster frozen alternatives shipped in from a central commissary. Number 19. Jell-O salad with fruit cocktail. Set in small glass dishes that wobbled gently on the tray, this was equal parts dessert and side dish, and nobody argued about which. Chunks of canned pear, peach, and grape suspended in red or green gelatin, sometimes with whipped topping on request. Grandmothers ordered it on instinct, and grandkids ate it first before touching anything else on the plate. Jell-O salads faded across American food service by the late 80s as tastes shifted toward fresher produce and lighter desserts. Number 18. Egg salad sandwich. Soft white bread, a filling flecked with paprika, and a little sweet relish mixed through the eggs and mayonnaise. It was the lightest thing on the menu, the order for shoppers who wanted lunch without feeling full while trying on winter coats afterward. Served with a pickle wedge and potato chips straight from the bag, never fries, it never pretended to be more than it was. It disappeared quietly, item by item, as Sears diners shrank their offerings through the 90s. Number 17. Fish fry, Fridays only, beer-battered cod or haddock, fried until the coating turned amber gold, served with tartar sauce, a lemon wedge, and hush puppies at some locations, coleslaw at others depending on the region. Catholic families built their Friday errands around this meal, a small ritual tied to faith and habit both. The fryer smelled sharper and saltier on Fridays than any other day. Regional fish fry traditions faded as Sears standardized its food service nationally in the late 80s, trading local flavor for consistency. Number 16. Banana split. 3 scoops of ice cream, vanilla chocolate, and strawberry nestled in a split banana with whipped cream, chopped peanuts, and a cherry balanced on top, like a trophy. This was the reward meal, the one you earned after behaving through an afternoon of errands, and kids negotiated for it before the trip even started. The Sunday counter stayed busy well past the lunch rush. It vanished as ice cream counters were phased out for simpler self-serve soft-serve machines. Number 15. Root beer float. Vanilla ice cream dropped into a tall glass of cold root beer, the foam rising fast enough that servers had to hustle it to the table before it overflowed. The fizzing alone made a kid's whole day. Some Sears locations mixed their own root beer syrup with carbonated water right at the fountain. Sharper than anything bottled, it was the drink that made Saturday lunch feel like an occasion. Soda fountains across department stores disappeared through the 80s as bottled drinks got cheaper to stock. Number 14. Chicken fried steak. A tenderized cube steak, breaded and fried crisp, buried under peppered white cream gravy, served with mashed potatoes and a biscuit. This was the heartiest plate on the menu, the one Dad ordered without glancing at the board. The gravy had real black pepper flecks throughout, thick enough to hold a fork standing upright. Southern in origin but a national Sears staple, especially strong in Texas and the Midwest, it lasted into the early 90s before the last cafeterias closed. Number 13. Grilled cheese with tomato soup, 2 slices of white bread, American cheese melted until it stretched, butter griddled to a deep golden brown, paired with a cup of tomato soup for dunking. This was the kids' menu anchor at nearly every Sears diner in the country. The safe order for picky eaters dragged along on errands. Parents ordered it as much for themselves, chasing a taste from their own mothers' kitchens. Simple and cheap, it survived almost until the very end. One of the last comfort items standing. Number 12. Meatloaf plate. Thick slices glazed with ketchup and brown sugar. Served with mashed potatoes, gravy, and a vegetable medley of corn and carrots. It tasted like a family dinner served in a department store, which was exactly the appeal. Regulars requested the end piece, the one with the most glaze baked into the crust. Popular with retirees who came for early bird pricing at many locations, it disappeared as scratch-cooked entrees gave way to reheated frozen alternatives across the chain. Number 11. Tapioca pudding. Small glass bowls of pearl tapioca, custard sweet with pearls suspended in the creamy base, sometimes topped with a light dusting of nutmeg. It was the dessert grandparents ordered without fail, tasting like something from an era even older than the Sears diner itself. Kids eyed the texture suspiciously at first bite, then usually finished the whole bowl. It was cheap to make and even cheaper to love, fading from American menus broadly as gelatin and pudding cups took over dessert cases. Number 10. Beef stew over rice. Chunks of stewed beef, carrots and potatoes in thick brown broth ladled over white rice instead of the usual bread or potatoes. This was the stick-to-your-ribs order for cold months, warming you up before you finished the first bite. Colder state locations leaned on it heavily through winter, building loyal followings among older shoppers who came specifically for it. As kitchen staff shrank company-wide, slow-cooked stews were among the first labor-intensive dishes cut from the standard menu rotation. Number 9. BLT on toast. Crisp bacon, cool lettuce, a thick tomato slice, and mayonnaise on toasted white bread cut diagonally and held together with a frilled toothpick. It was the lightest hot weather order, popular through summer, when a heavier plate felt like too much after the hot parking lot. The bacon was griddle cooked rather than baked, giving it a different snap than most people made at home. This sandwich survived nearly the entire run of Sears diners, one of the most enduring items on any menu. Number 8. Waffles with real butter and syrup. Served warm from a genuine waffle iron behind the counter, not a warming tray, with butter melting into every pocket before the syrup even hit the plate. Breakfast service ran later into the morning than most restaurants, catching shoppers right as the doors opened. Families with young kids gravitated toward it because it felt like a treat rather than a chore. As Sears store hours and staffing shrank through the 90s, full breakfast service was one of the earliest casualties nationwide. Number 7. Liver and onions. Thin slices of beef liver, dredged in flour, pan-fried, and topped with a generous pile of soft-cooked onions, served alongside mashed potatoes. This dish split every family at the table, adults ordering it with genuine enthusiasm while kids pushed it around their plates in protest. It carried a strong following among older shoppers who remembered it from their own childhood dinner tables. The smell announced itself down the counter before the plate arrived, and it disappeared broadly as American taste shifted younger. Number 6. Cream of chicken soup with saltines. A simple bowl, thick and pale yellow, dotted with small chicken pieces and black pepper, served with a small sleeve of crackers on the side. This was the order for shoppers who wanted something light before continuing their errands, or for anyone feeling a little under the weather. It tasted almost exactly like the canned version most families kept in their pantry, which was precisely the comfort of it. Simple soups lasted on Sears menus longer than almost any entree, right up until the closures. Number 5. Club sandwich. Triple-decker turkey and ham layered with bacon, lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise between 3 slices of toast, held together with frilled toothpicks and cut into 4 neat triangles. This was the special occasion order within an ordinary shopping trip. A birthday lunch or anniversary errand turned into something a little nicer. It came with a mountain of potato chips and a pickle spear balanced on top. Club sandwiches lingered on Sears menus into the early 90s before the format disappeared entirely. Number 4. Cherry pie a la mode. A wedge of cherry pie, the filling glossy and just tart enough to cut the sweetness, topped with vanilla ice cream that started melting into the crust immediately. This was the dessert every family split between 2 or 3 people, forks crossing over the same plate. The crust was flaky enough to scatter across the table, and nobody minded cleaning it up. It was the meal's finale, the reason nobody rushed out. Fresh baked pie disappeared as scratch bakeries closed inside most Sears locations. Number 3. Chicken salad plate. A generous scoop of chicken salad, studded with celery and a hint of grape or apple, served on iceberg lettuce with tomato wedges and cottage cheese on the side. This was the lighter lunch order, popular with women shopping through the middle of a long weekday, paired with iced tea and a roll. It felt like a small luxury without costing much at all. The cottage cheese pairing marked it as a product of its exact era, and it faded as diet trends moved on. Number 2. Grilled ham and cheese with pineapple. A twist on the standard grilled cheese, adding thin ham and a ring of grilled pineapple, the sweetness caramelizing slightly against the griddle heat. It was the slightly adventurous order, picked when a shopper wanted their usual sandwich, but felt like trying something a little different that day. The combination became a small signature at several regional Sears locations before spreading more widely. It disappeared alongside most of the griddle menu as kitchens simplified through the final years of full-service dining. Number 1. The Blue Plate Special. Different every single day, chalked onto a small board near the register, this was the meal that defined the entire Sears diner experience. Meatloaf on Monday, fried chicken on Wednesday, pot roast on Friday, always a starch, a vegetable, and a roll with butter, priced lower than ordering the same item separately. Families built their weekly shopping schedule around whatever the special happened to be. It represented everything the Sears diner stood for: reliable, affordable, made by hand, and gone the moment the doors closed on America's last full-service department store lunch counter. Standing in that Sears diner today feels almost impossible to imagine because so few of us can point to the exact building anymore. The stores closed, the counters were torn out, the griddles went quiet, and an entire ritual of American family life folded up without much notice. But the smell of griddle butter and coffee, the fizz of a root beer float, the wobble of a Jell-O salad crossing the room on a tray, those memories held on long after the last plate was cleared. Maybe that's the real reason this list still means something. It wasn't really about the food. It was about a Saturday, a family, and a lunch counter that made an errand feel like an occasion. Give this video a like and subscribe for more forgotten pieces of American life.